here's Brody Brazil.
I just want to say before anything else in this video that I actually put a lot of time and effort into sorting it out. I really did. I mean, I could have just whipped this together and said, oh, here's 4 types of sports fans, and give you something that I didn't really believe in or buy into. But these are my true thoughts. I put hours into this over a couple days of just mentally racking my brain. Like, first off, how many different types of sports fans are there out there? And then how would I go about defining each one? So I'll break that down, and I'll actually just give you the list here straight away, because I know some people are saying, well, what are they? I'll tell you what they are now. I'll show you the pie chart in just a second, and then I'll define each one of them at the end of this video. They are, in my opinion, the casual fan, the curious fan, the super fan, and the obnoxious fan. And yes, I do realize that last one has a pretty negative connotation to it, but it's true. I can't help it. I can't deny it. I've seen it out there, so we'll get to it in just a second. I also know a lot of you right now are already saying, well, wait, which group here do I fit into? Maybe my explanations a little bit later on will kind of help you define that. So here's the famous or infamous pie chart, depending on how you see it. I believe that the casual fan actually makes up the majority of sports fans out there. 55%, in my opinion, are a casual fan. There's also 35% of the fan base who I would describe as the curious fan. I'll detail them in just a second. I believe 8% are super fans, and only 2% are that obnoxious fan. Now, what's sad is that 2% oftentimes speaks volumes like 82%. But in reality, you have to remember, you have to put it all into context. It's only about 2%. There's also some crossover, right? Because sometimes the casual fan can act more like a curious fan, or the casual fan can act more like an obnoxious fan, or the super fan can sometimes act like an obnoxious fan, or the curious fan can sometimes act like a super fan. So there's some fluidity here, right? I'm not just telling you that you're one or the other and you're only that and you're ever that. Not the case. I'm here to define these 4 main pillars and have you understand that, yeah, there is some crossover at times. People change, situations change. Some people fall maybe right in the middle of 1 or 2 or even 3 of these definitions. So let's get to the definitions. Here's the casual fan, which I also feel like this can be seen in a negative light, and it shouldn't be. It's also known as the bandwagon fan, right? Oh, this team in the bandwagon. Well, the casual fan is what helps sell out your stadium or sell out your arena on a regular basis. They're the difference between 85% capacity all the time and sold out all the time. Trust me on that one. The casual fan, from my view, is somebody who attends, 1 to 3 games a year. They might watch a lot more. They might follow scores. They might keep up with things a little bit, but they're not necessarily of the season ticket holder type variety. They're also a little bit behind on the news. Like, hey, are we going to the playoffs this year? No, we're not. Did you really not know that, or were you just starting a conversation? Or how about this player? Yeah, they're not on our team anymore, and they haven't been for 5 months now. So, granted, the casual fan, they probably have a hat. They probably have a jersey, a jacket, a hoodie. They have all the elements, but they're not exactly around all the time. They might have a busy life. Nothing against them. There's nothing wrong with being a casual fan. Not everybody can commit the same thing to their fandom. They can name some players on the team, like I said, but maybe not the starting 9, the starting 5, who caught the winning touchdown pass last week. They're not exactly fully complete in all their knowledge. Look, they're just there to have fun. So I'm not even knocking the casual fan. I realize a lot of you watching this video are not the casual fan because you're here on this YouTube channel. But it's fine. You know people who are just like this, the casual fan. And I do believe they make a majority of the fan bases out there. 55%, in my opinion. So definitely impactful. Don't treat them bad. Take them for what they're worth. just understand that, yeah, they're not like maybe the other 2 or 3 groups here in this conversation. So from the casual fan, we get to what I think is my favorite group of all. Now, as a broadcaster, honestly, I feel like this is the group right here that I cater to. This is the group that's hungry for more information. They're interested. They want to digest it. They want to kind of live through a season. They're really invested. They get invested. They go to more games. I don't know what that means. 1 or 2 a month instead of a season, maybe 3 or 4 a month, maybe 5 a month. I don't know. I don't have an exact definition of attendance. I don't always believe that attendance defines your fandom. You could be on the other side of the country or the world for that matter and still be a really good fan. But I do believe the curious fan is just around it a little bit more. And for sure, despite their presence, obviously in person, their presence in following games and coverage closely is not questioned at all. Like, they're always up to speed on who the team might draft next year, what the assistant coach is all about, some of the stories behind the scenes, all the media members that cover the team. The curious fan, is present. The curious fan shows up. And again, I've got to tell you, this is the fan base that, I don't know, hits home to me. Maybe this is where I would fit in. This is the fan base that, also likes the scores and keeps up with stats and knows who's good and knows who's struggling. But also, this is the one that knows the team stories, right? The human stories of players and coaches and front office and all the above. The curious fan, I think, also has opinions on the team. Like, they're educated, they're in this enough to say, well, you know what, I actually think this player might be better at that position than the other one, or I think they ought to do this strategy instead of that one. I'm being very generic here to try and fit as many scenarios as possible, but I think you probably, if you're not this person, you probably know somebody just like this. It's the curious fan, and it doesn't mean that they know everything every single time, but they're invested in it. They've put so much into it that they've got an education on it, a background on it. They care about it. And so obviously they've got opinions on it. And then last but not least, they always want to know more. Even after a couple losses in a row, they're the ones that are saying, well, I want to hear what the players are saying. What's their reasoning? What's really going on behind the scenes? The curious fan is literally just that, curious. And I appreciate this group. Again, if you can't tell already, it's what I relate to. It's probably my favorite. Then there's the superfans. Superfans are known among other fans. Now, I could name a few right here, right now, but I don't want to do that because I'll inevitably miss one or two or prioritize them improperly. Even in our region, Northern California, who superfans of each team are. And maybe I've overcalculated them here. I've said 8%, but quite honestly, it's probably more than you think fall into this category. They are regular attendees of their team's games, and they usually also have a large collection of something: jerseys, hats, bobbleheads, pins, stickers, t-shirts, old ticket stubs, you name it. They have an attachment to their fandom, and they bleed it, right? This is somebody who is going to prioritize their team and their sport and their players as much as anything else in their life. They have the ability to do that. They've got the passion to do that. Sometimes it's been passed down to them. Sometimes it's just something they picked up at a certain spot in life. But the superfan definitely exists. And also the superfan has an encyclopedic, am I saying that right? Encyclopedic knowledge. They know things that all of us have to look up, even the broadcasters. What did that guy hit last year? Oh, 267. Wait, how did you know that? How many rushing yards did this player have 3 weeks ago? Oh, 94. Wait, 94 exactly, or are you just guessing? No, they know exactly. What year was this player drafted? 1986. Who was the team? Yeah, you understand. Who was the team leader in this category? They know everything. So again, sometimes the casual fan can also appear as the super fan or vice versa. There is some interchangeability here, but the super fan, maybe you know some of these too if you're not one of them. And you might be one of them here on this YouTube channel, but they have an amazing knowledge base. And I also obviously respect this group, and maybe the reason I just don't relate to it is because I can't put forth this type of effort. It takes work to be a super fan. This one doesn't just come on in your spare time. This one is its own like main gig. This is not side hustle material right here. Okay, that brings us to the obnoxious fan. Now, I'm going to try and be polite here. The obnoxious fan tries to prove their knowledge to you all the time. It's always an argument. There's always a counter debate. It's almost as if we're doing a radio show with the obnoxious fan. Well, I thought they looked pretty good the other day. Oh, I don't know about that. They only scored 10 runs in the 4th inning. What? Thought they looked pretty good. They're always the ones that just have to have a counter opinion to anything anybody else says. They can't really agree or relate or associate with anybody. They're always outliers in that. So they're always trying to prove that they know just a little bit more. And sometimes it's because they played college baseball, or they played high school baseball, or they played Little League baseball at some point. I could do Pop Warner football, we have soccer, hockey, whatever. They played to a certain level, and sometimes that impedes on what they think about the professional level. Anyway, they try to prove their knowledge, which, okay, I mean, sometimes I appreciate the effort, but other times you're trying too hard. I also think that the obnoxious fan, and betting is one thing, that's not the issue here, but they actually like betting on sports more than they actually like sports itself. Like maybe without the betting, they wouldn't even like sports anymore. They like the gambling part more than the actual sports part of sports betting, right? Somebody who always constantly talks about their fantasy team, or like you can't even talk about the game. It's more about how their team did, their fantasy team did. The obnoxious fan, I think, is also somebody who trolls others online. And you know what? The back and forth between teams and rivalries and all that stuff, okay, I get it to a certain degree. It comes with the equation. It's part of the territory. I get it. But the obnoxious fan, I think, is even trolling people in their own fan base, like people that wear the same colors and go to the same games and root for the same teams and players. They just have to stand out. I'm also here to say that I don't think I'll ever get in a physical altercation at a pro sports game or a college game or any type of game, like where I didn't know the other person and we're disagreeing over teams and there's jawing back and forth. I just don't think that's me. I'd probably just walk out at some point. But the obnoxious fan is the type to fight at a game. Now, come on. We don't need that. We really don't need that. And especially in an environment that's supposed to be family friendly, professional sports, even college sports for that matter. The obnoxious fan, I think, would fight somebody at a game. So that falls into this category too. So I hate to end on that note, but I hope that made sense. Here I spelled out the 4 types of sports fan from my perspective as a broadcaster. Now, I'll also tell you straight away, I feel like in a lot of ways, my job has taken me away from fandom. I mean, I still, at the core, am that, but I see things from a different lens, through a different lens, and in a different light, working in this business and working in this industry as opposed to being, maybe more of a spectator of it or a customer of it. And so maybe my viewpoints here are a bit off. You let me know. Or maybe I've got it spot on. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up on this video if you found it entertaining or appreciated it. And hey, don't forget, subscribe to this channel. Lots more coming your way soon. I'll see you next time.